Hey everybody. We are entering the midway point of this class. It's 8 weeks long and we're starting week 4. That means by the end of this week, we will have finished half of this class. So as we're entering the midpoint, so I'm talking weeks 4 and 5, I want us to set some goals for how we want this semester to end personally for ourselves individually. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to send you this link too. For the next 2 weeks, though, for weeks 4 and 5, I'm going to ask you to set a goal and I'm going to put some parameters around it for how you want to finish this class. If you are rocking it with an A or a B and you are just madly in love with your grade, then maybe your goal isn't as much to increase your score as in to maintain it in some way. And we'll go over that part in a minute. If you have a much lower grade than what you would prefer, maybe your goal is to increase it a specific amount. I want to increase my score 20% before the end of the semester. Something. I'm going to go over some parameters. And if you haven't heard the term before, we're going to use SMART goals. And I don't want to overcomplicate that, but I want to explain something. Um, and I'll put more in the assignment itself because I want it to be done in a way that we can come back to it in a couple of weeks and measure, are we on the right track? Have we met it already? Um, Whatever. Okay. So let me share my screen. Um, And this is kind of a very long article on SMART goals. Now, I have some textbooks on SMART goals and fine. But for our purposes of what we need it to, I would like to kind of just go over the basics of what a SMART goal is. And I'm not going to read all this to you, but more than anything, it's an acronym. The word SMART is an acronym. And it's a way to set goals that are clear, trackable, and achievable. The word SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So, like your goal of, I just want to pass this class, isn't SMART in this definition. I'm not saying it's not a great goal. I'm saying we need to be more specific. You would have to define the word pass. Um, like for some, pass means C or better. For others, pass means D or better, and that definition really depends on the degree that you're trying to get. I can tell you what the formal definition of pass is, which is actually C or better, but there are some programs that would allow you to get a D in this class. Others would not and would make you retake it. So when I using that as an example of kind of what smart means, I don't want to get too in the weeds and I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. But where you are today, knowing that class is going to end in the next 4 to 5 weeks, where do you want to be in that time? Our time is now, at the end of week 4, our time will be half over. And now we have half left. So, thinking about it from that perspective, where do you want to be at the end of this term? Now, maybe you want, if you said, I want to increase my grade by 20%. That's very specific. It's measurable. So numerically, it's measurable. Is it achievable? Well, if you have a 0% and you have half the class left, it's likely that you could increase it by 20. Does 20% in that example um, get you to where you want to be? Maybe not. It really depends. So, SMART goals don't have to be so specific that they're relevant to every single person in this class. These are personal. These are for you individually. You'll read it and I'll read it, and that's it. And I mean, like that's with a normal assignment, but from a goal setting perspective, it needs to be personal enough to where you are in life and where you are in this class. So I'm going to set some parameters. They need to be specific, measurable, and achievable. And we will assume that the time bound sensitivity of it is by the end of this semester. We will revisit in a couple of weeks Um, so specific and measurable. So it needs to be numeric in some way. If you're going to use the word, I want to pass this class, you've got to define, I want to pass this class with a C or better, with 75% or higher, with, there has to be some figure in there that makes it measurable. Also, is it realistic and achievable? Um, and that is very personal per person. So no one is being compared to anybody else. No, that's not what, I want you to dig in and set a goal. Um, and I want us to come back and visit in a couple of weeks and then again at the end during finals to help make sure that you reach that destination. Personally, I want everyone to pass the class. Um, what does that mean? That means that I want everyone to have a C or better. I don't have my rose-colored glasses on and will say that everyone's going to get 100% on everything. That's not realistic, no matter what kind of class it is. Um, but I want everyone to get a C or better, and that is realistic. But it would take steps to get us all there. So my goal as an instructor is to try to get everyone over that kind of CD line if you're falling under it, um, and kind of focus that way. But your goal as a student, I want to get a degree in business, or I want to be accepted into nursing school, or I want to own my own business, or I want a welding certificate. Whatever your academic goals are, those are already, just based on the nature of what they are, specific. They're measurable. Did you do it or did you not? Yes or no, that's measurable. And are they achievable? Absolutely. Every one of the ones that I just listed are achievable. So no matter what your major is, no matter what your academic goal is, all of those are specific, measurable, and achievable. What I need us to do is to take that same type of thought process and create a goal and steps within that goal to reach before the end of our time together. No one starts a class, no matter what the class is, thinking, I hope I get a zero in this class or something silly like that. That's not why we take college classes. But sometimes we get so in the weeds with difficulty or software problems or life because maybe you've had a family emergency or maybe you've got health problems or something happened in your personal life and it just threw you for a loop. Whatever that, the life was lifing, okay? Now, we still have it in us to finish strong. So everyone's goal will be different. Someone that has an A right now will have a different goal than someone that has a D to use as comparison. So no one's goals need to be silly or off the wall or too hard to do. So, every year I've been teaching for 17 years now, and every year, as part of my annual evaluation, one of the things that I'm required to do is I'm required to write down what my goals are for next year as a teacher, and did I meet the goals that I set for myself last year? So I want you to think of it that way. From an employment standpoint, I've always had jobs that forced me to look inside of myself to set goals that I thought were achievable and then have to go back and look at them and go, yep, I did that one. Nope, I didn't do that one. Uh-oh. Whatever. And it helps you kind of stay focused and it actually kind of gives us some internal motivation to kind of keep pushing forward. Also, there is no shame if you don't reach it. And I can personally say there was a goal. I had a list of 5 goals last year. There were 2 of them I didn't reach. Guess what? They were the first 2 listed for this year. Why? Because it wasn't time to throw them away, but it was time to bring them back up. So all of us started this class with some intrinsic motivation, with a goal to successfully complete this class. And now we're at the midway point. How are you feeling about it? Now let's set a goal to finish. If you're on the struggle bus, set a goal that helps raise you out of off the bus. Maybe not straight A's on everything else. I'm not telling you to be unrealistic if that's not realistic for you. What I am saying though is let's look at it again. What can we do? What goal can we have for ourselves that we can make sure that we do weekly? When you start when you go to the gym, if you hire a personal trainer, the first day, the trainer's going to ask you, why are you here? What are your fitness goals? Okay. Think of it that way. You're now in a class. Why are you here? Why are you here? And but more importantly than that, what is the goal that you have for yourself in this class? I want you to start thinking about that. I'm going to give you some more information in the assignment itself with some specifics. So create the goal for yourself. Make sure it's specific, measurable, and achievable. The time frame we're going to assume will be by the end of the semester. I find that anything that you could say regarding this class specifically could be relevant to that goal. So I'm not going to get in the weeds on is it every one of the letters of the acronym, but make sure it's specific, measurable, and achievable. And then I'm going to ask you now, how do you achieve that? So the goal is this thing, and then here's maybe 2 or 3 steps to get there. Maybe your goal is I want to get an 80% or better on every assignment in this class moving forward. Okay, that's a big goal. It's absolutely specific. It's measurable because we can look at every assignment and go, you did or didn't do that. And it is achievable for every person in this room, in this class, no matter how well you've done thus far. So I would say, then I would ask you to tell me how you're going to do that. And I'm going to do that by working through the simulations before I do the projects. I'm going to do more attempts than one on the simulation if I don't do well the first time around. I'm going to use both attempts on my project if I did not score an 80% or better the first time. I'm going to make sure that I start my work early in the week so I can ask my instructor questions should they arise prior to the due date. Um, all of those things leading to this goal of making an 80% or better on everything moving forward. I'm not telling you you need that goal. I'm saying that's an example and one way to do it. So we're going to have a goal. You may have 2 goals. I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm going to say 1 or 2. But then you're going to have 2 or 3, and here's how I'm going to do it. So we're setting ourselves up for success for the rest of the semester. Here's what my goal is, and here's how I'm going to get there. And then in a couple of weeks, I'm going to revisit and I'm going to ask, how are your goals coming? I'll give feedback in some way if necessary. And then at the end, we'll go back and we'll have one final answer to see how we've done. Okay? Um, I think you're going to do great with this. Take this seriously for me. I would really love it for don't just look at it and, roll your eyes. And I want all of us to kind of be self-aware and look internally and say, all right, let's get real for just a second. What am I going to do here? What do I need to do better or more or different or something? What hasn't been working? All right, now how do I want to end it? How can I successfully finish this class? Okay? I'm looking forward to reading all of your goals. I'm going to give some feedback. So I might ask, hey, this isn't actually measurable. Let's go back and work on this for, real quick. So make sure that you're looking for my feedback so you can fix anything that needs to be fixed. And then put this goal on a post-it and put it in the bathroom mirror or on your computer or something. Okay? Okay, so we're going to do SMART goals. Okay? This is a long article on the screen. I'm going to post it in Blackboard for you to have. It'll be with this assignment, so you can refer back to it if you want. But what is the goal you have for yourself for the rest of this class? Where do you want to be by the end, whatever that means for you? And how are you going to get there? Okay? I look forward to reading them. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.